Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. As we get to the end of summer, day by day, the day gets shorter, minute by minute, and it's darker first thing in the morning, and sunset comes much earlier in the evening. As you can see, the sky is starting to pink up. There is a little bit of cloud high up, but on the horizon it appears to be fairly clear. So one could imagine that this morning is going to be quite spectacular as the sun starts to edge up over the horizon. What I'd like to do today is take you through yet another book summary. Hundreds and hundreds of book summaries, and today's book summary is entitled Rationality by an author known as Steven Pinker. And I'm kind of hoping that the sky will continue to pink up and we'll be able to celebrate another beautiful sunrise this morning. So the author kicks off his book with a quote where he says that equality is the moral principle that individuals should not be judged or constrained by the average properties of their group. So Stephen kicks off basically suggesting that each and every one of us are unique, are different, and we shouldn't really be compared to each other or boxed into a particular group because of our religion, our skin colour, our age, our sexual preferences, and all of those things. I was watching television last night and there was a female government minister who said something very clever and very profound. She says, look, there's not too much of a difference between men and women. You know, we all face similar sort of challenges. So important to understand and important to put it into perspective. You know, there are differences, slight differences, but we all face similar sort of issues in our lives. I think I may have to move on because there's a truck backing up here. It's going to lift something, so it could be dangerous for me to stand here, but I'll wait and see and play it by ear. So this whole book is on rationality, on moral principles. And what the author says is that if we go back in time, you know, philosophers have always said that we humans set ourselves apart from all the rest of creation because our humanity is based on the fact that we are reason focused beings. Rationality is the core of our essence, the core of our being. And in terms of understanding what rationality is and what separates us from the rest of creation, rationality is basically being able to use our consciousness to overcome obstacles, to be able to solve complex problems, to be able to get our minds around abstract problems, and being able to logically choose between a number of options and to feel certain emotions. So the rational soul is what separates us from the rest of humanity, as per what the author says, and it's the thing that makes you and I different from the animals, the birds, the fish, and everything else that roams the planet. So this whole concept of having a rational soul is the cornerstone of Christianity. The fact that we were born, that we were created with rationality to enable us to be able to understand the difference between A, B and C, and to contemplate those differences and to use our ability to think so that we can determine what's the best outcome, determine how we can use it to survive, but not only to survive, but to also work, collaborate, cooperate with others around us to improve our situation so that society and communities can benefit from the cooperative and collaborative responses that we have. What sets us apart from the animal kingdom is that between stimulus and response is a gap which enables each and every one of us to contemplate and to think and to spend some time calculating the potential outcomes. Whereas they say that animals just have an instinctive reaction to what happens around them. Yes, they may think about it, but the thought will be in a very basic sort of outcome. Whereas as humans with rationality, we're able to contemplate many options simultaneously and plan and think about our future, as well as the first, second and third level direct and indirect consequences that our actions have on us, on others, and the environment around us. So our humanity puts us in a place, in a sphere, which is very, very different to all other creation. The author then goes on to talk about, in his first formal point in the book, that mankind have institutions that are set up and put in place to help us, to help people be objective and rational. If it wasn't for institutions, then we would be potentially less rational and less objective, and each person may or could be doing their own thing, but it's these institutions that bring us into line. Because what happens is that we humans in life are constantly trying to get as close as possible to the absolute truth. And we can do it alone, but it's probably better and easier for us to do it in a team or in a group sort of environment. Because when left to our own devices, as humans, we are flawed. We have issues, and we are work in progress, and on a constant journey of growth, development, and expansion. Let me just clear the frog out of my throat. So humans are self-absorbed. We don't need the author to remind us of this. You know, all we have to do is just spin around and see Clive Palmer's mega yacht over there, the Australia, the $40 million mega yacht, and you just listen to Clive Palmer and his sidekick, Craig, I've forgotten his name. How could I forget? The Goon Show. Craig Kelly, that's right. Clive Palmer and Craig Kelly, The Goon Show. You listen to them and you can tell very, very easily how they indeed are an expression of this self-absorption. And this self-absorption, according to the author, leads humans to not consider others and have a tendency to fulfill their own dreams, their own desires, and have a tendency for self-sabotage. My spiritual father, Father Dimitri, always says that it never ceases to amaze him how he comes across so many people who have a perfect life, who have absolutely everything. They've got a great family, got a great business, they've got fantastic health, they've got friends and family and everything they could possibly dream for. And yet, for some unknown reason, they will go out of their way to destroy their lives and just create anarchy and pain, suffering for not only themselves, but for those around them. And for this reason, Father Dimitri says, and the author says as well, that we need institutions around us to help us with our thinking and to be enablers of us becoming more objective and being held to account. In order to share opinions, to share views, and to build a worldview based on not only our own experiences, but OPE, other people's experiences. Because a key point of this book and of this learning is that we all live a unique life. We all live a different past. We are all living a different present. I'm here, you're there. Nobody is in exactly the same position, experiencing the same things. Fat Boy Palmer is on his boat, snoring away, thinking about what he's going to have for breakfast, lunch and dinner today. And the rest of the country is starting to stir and think about how they're going to spend the rest of their day. But what happens is that each and every one of us is able to experience but a small slither of reality, a small slither of truth on a daily basis. And this small slither that I have could be completely different to the small slither that you have in your life. And for that reason, we've all got different worldviews. We've got different experiences to base our decisions and our observations on. But each of these slithers, as we say, are biased. They're biased by our particular experience, our unique experience of the past, the present, and each of these slithers of reality, as we said, could be real, could be flawed, and could be incorrect. And for that reason, and that reason only, we need each other. We need to build and bounce off each other's slithers of reality, to be able to compare and contrast and identify what is real, what is wrong. And it's the institutions that we have around us, the church, the governments, the schools, the communities, all of those things working together are systems which help keep us on track, help us identify the things that are right, that are wrong, and a lot of things which are questionable, which sit in between. So the author goes on to say that we are more moral beings because it is rational. It works for us. Humans are social and selfish. And for that reason, we circulate in social circles because of our selfishness. We do it to benefit ourselves. We do it to grow, develop, to learn, to copy, and to compare and contrast, as we said before. Because that's how we are programmed, and we need to be like that in order to survive and to thrive. We need social interaction, according to this author, to function, to learn to cooperate, not because we naturally have a natural tendency to cooperate and collaborate. We cooperate and collaborate because it suits us. It enables us to survive and thrive. And at some point in time, the government is going to have to collaborate and cooperate and work with Fat Boy Palmer and Clive Kelly in order to get things done, because it's the independents, it's the odd ones, the odd groups that have the balance of power in today's politics, and that self need, that communal goal is the thing that gets us working and coming closer together. The last point that comes out of this book from this author is that ignorance and self-constraint can prove to be rational. Sometimes not knowing what's going on around you is an advantage, because you don't get sucked in to the vortex that can take you over, under and away, that can move you in a current. You can get caught in the rip, because having lots of choices in life can be problematic, according to this author and according to our own experiences. Because choices, can be helpful and can be painful. You can be torn between choices. You can be torn between loyalties. The more choices you have for dinner, the more choices you have for hanging out, the more social circles that you have to choose to circulate in can be tormenting, to say the least. Because at the end of the day, as the author says, if you trust yourself, you could be leading yourself to bigger problems and bigger pain, because people trust themselves far too much. And the best way to get around this, according to the author, is to basically eliminate the temptations in your life, eliminate the choices, narrow down the choices, so you don't have too many things to tempt you. Because if it's left to your own device, if you back yourself too often, you may end up being manipulated, because there are people out there who can give you false choices who can tempt you with reward, fame, opportunity, which could lead you to a dead end. So once again, the author here is very clear in basically saying that sometimes ignorance can be bliss. So avoid temptations and don't depend on your willpower, because we know that willpower will let you down. Willpower is its strongest when you are most rested. So first thing in the morning, most of us have terrific willpower, but science informs us and tells us that throughout the day your willpower will dissipate, will burn off, will evaporate, and that's why at the end of the day we tend to succumb to temptations, to the Tim Tam, which ends up being a packet of Tim Tams, to having just one drink, which ends up being an all-night bender. Saying yes to this, which could end up having tremendous first, second and third level consequences, and hence why criminal activity is rife in the evening, and the safest time to go to the beach and leave your wallet out and your phone out is first thing in the morning, because the mugs, the immoral ones, are probably at home sleeping, or even if they're passing by, their willpower is probably at their strongest. So the bottom line here from the author is that if you depend on your willpower, if you depend on yourself, you're always going to let yourself down, and hence why we need families, why we need communities, why we need people around us, institutions. The wind is starting to build up, so it's going to be a windy sort of day by the looks of it. So I'll start heading off. But once again, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I hope the book summary was able to provide a few life hacks, a few perspectives that can allow us to see life from a different angle, and something that we can incorporate into our inventory of skills that we can use to live a better life, a better day, so that we can live, learn and pass it on. So it's Monday morning. I wish everybody a great start to the work week. It's going to be an interesting last couple of weeks to summer. It was very hot yesterday, and today looks like it's going to be a cracker as well. This cloud will probably burn off or blow away. And thank you once again for joining me, where we went through a book summary entitled Rationality by Steven Pinker. The horizon didn't get as pink as what it normally gets, but still it was a beautiful morning. It's balmy. It's just great to be alive. Take care everybody, Yassas, and we'll chat again. Bye from Jim on Jim's 5am Club.